Hello fellow cinephiles, 90s Film Guru here, thanks for joining me today. So as we move towards the end of the year, it's once again that time, top 10 of the year. So this is the list of top 10 I came up with, the films that really had an impact on me or affected me, or I kind of enjoyed what they were trying to say or do. There are some films on here that I think a lot of people would disagree with, but that's okay, that's the point of these whole top 10s, it's my own opinion. If you disagree, that's fine, but I'll talk about the reasons why I like those particular films. I think it's been a really great year for cinema in a lot of ways. Horror's been the genre that's sort of sticking out the most, I think. There's been some really great horrors this year, and some really interesting and unique films. And I think it's been a fascinating year for cinema, and the Oscars are going to show a very interesting sort of round of nominees this year with films and performances, because it's just been really interesting. Here's my top 10 films of 2024. Number 10. Fall Guy. This was directed by David Leitch, who is really great at these sort of actiony things. And I just really loved this film. It was really fun and entertaining. It was the kind of big blockbuster movies we used to get that's with a very colourful storyline, but some great, like a great cast. I think Ryan Gosling's really good and Emily Blunt, and they have a great chemistry together on screen. It was just a fun and entertaining movie that's based on an old TV show from the 70s, and I kind of liked the experience that I had with the movie. Number 9. Horizon. Now, I don't know if we're going to get the next part of this film or the next parts that Kevin Costner really wanted to put out there for us, but I really like this film. It isn't perfect, there's some issues with it. The length isn't too bad. I didn't mind that it was about 3 hours long, and there's some storylines in there I really enjoyed, and I like that he's really trying to recreate and recapture those sort of westerns that we used to get on the big screen. And I really love what he did with the film. It feels very authentic to the time. And some it brought together some really great actors, and I just like this sort of frontier western, you know. He's really crafted an interesting and fascinating world, and I think he does a really great job, and it's a big epic western, the type of westerns we just don't get anymore. Number 8. Civil War. Alex Garland, I think, did a fantastic job with this movie. It is a film that's sort of divisive, particularly for American audiences, but also for general audiences who didn't sort of gravitate or really enjoy this film as much as others did, like myself. What I loved about it is it really showed what it is to be a war photographer. Kirsten Dunst was really good in it, and I like it's a journey, and it's about like, what if there was a new civil war that took place in America and divided everybody and divided states and divided the whole country? What would that look like? And even though the film doesn't go deeply into this particular concept or idea, it's really about the journey of these two women. One, a veteran war photographer, the other one wanting to become that, wanting something to say, wanting to become as good as her mentor is. And just the horrors they see along the way. We don't spend a lot of time with different characters like we probably should, especially the particular sequence where there's someone's holding this house hostage and there's snipers trying to take this person out. We could have spent a lot more time there because I thought that was really cool. I know the ending with a particular death that happens is very impactful, and people are saying, well, I don't like what they did there, I don't like what they were saying. But I just felt like as an overall film, I thought it was really well done, and I was really captivated by it. And I felt like I was part of the journey they were going on. It was like I was in the car with them, experiencing what they were experiencing. And I did like too, when they took photos, it flashed in black and white and froze, like it froze that moment in time. I thought that was really cool as well. Number 7. Superman, the Christopher Reeve story. This was a really wonderful and very powerful documentary that just shows Christopher Reeves as the man he was, and also how much of a Superman he became in real life due to the accident that happened where he broke his neck, and the impact that he had on the world because of that, and how powerful the Superman films really became because of that. I'm a huge, as you can see, a huge Superman fan, and I really love this documentary. It showed the man, but it also showed how he was so intertwined with the character of Superman, and that's as he was the first real live action version of Superman we sort of got in the movies. There were TV shows and serials with George Reeves and others, but that first film was a real impact, and it really showed how a superhero movie could be done at that time in the late 70s, and how he struggled to break free of the Superman label that was put upon him, but he learnt to accept that and embrace that, because the impact that had on the world, but also the impact that had on him of continually to try and be this superhero, to fight against what was happening to him and fighting towards trying to walk again. And there's this really cool imagery in it where there's a Superman stone figure in outer space. And as they tell the story, different things happen to that. You know, when he's injured, you know, kryptonite covers the body and particular areas where Christopher Reeves was affected due to the accident. And it shows this figure in space, this sort of defying figure, this granite, strong, strength, statue-esque figure in outer space, and how that had such a huge impact on everything. This film's beautifully done, and it showed Christopher Reeves as a complete man, his flaws and all. They didn't shy away from anything. They addressed who he was, what he went through, what he did, and the impact that he had. It's very rare that I put a documentary on my top 10, but I was so affected by it that it had to be on this list. Number 6. Bike Riders. I really love this film. I think, you know, like, there's so many great performances in it. Tom Hardy's wonderful. Jodie Comer steals the film in a lot of ways, and Austin Butler is fantastic. He's extraordinary to see on screen. There's his coolness to him, his bad boy sort of, he exudes his bad boy toughness in the movie, and I love that. And most of the film was really good. The ending went in a direction I don't know if I loved, but the rest of it was fantastic. He was so great in it, Austin Butler. And it's really a powerful film in simplicity, and I love the fact it was based on this book that was created by this photojournalist. You know, there's pictures in there, there's stories, and just Jeff Nichols really crafted the film around that. Jeff Nichols is one of my favourite sort of directors. I love The Mud, I've loved Take Shelter, I've loved everything he really did, and this is a great example of his skill as a director, and crafted a really wonderful and powerful story with great performances that's dramatic and funny and sad and a variety of emotions that you go through watching the movie. And he's definitely one of the best films of the year. Number 5. Joker 2. Now, I know a lot of people are going to hate that this is on the list, or hate the film in general. I was blown away by this film. I thought it was beautiful. The musical numbers were fantastic. The addition of Lady Gaga was really great, and I liked the relationship between Joker and Harley Quinn was really cool. I liked her take on Harley Quinn as well. It was very different and very realistic. And I liked Todd Phillips was like, you know what? I'm not going to do the same thing I did with the previous film. I'm going to go in a completely different direction. And he does. And this is what divided audiences, I think, and upset people, because it was like all these people who loved the first one and embraced it and stuff, and embraced the negativity or the badness that Todd Phillips felt the film had, and going in a completely different direction. I like that the film really showed like a continuation of the Arthur Fleck character, how he's sort of in prison, the persona that he created with the Joker that he felt was his way of expressing himself has been diminished and squashed down inside because he's in a mental institution, in prison. He's just been abused by so many people. He just exists in there. But when he meets Harley Quinn and becomes interacting with her, he sort of comes awake again. He awakens, and the Joker, this persona, this shield that he has, comes out once again. But then he realizes throughout the film, this isn't the person he wants to be, and he finds a different direction. He finds the person he really, really is and really wants to be, and he tries to pursue that to tragic ends. Like, don't get me wrong, this isn't a perfect film. I really thought the Harley Quinn-esque character should have been the one who shot him in the end, because it just felt like she was taking on the mantle and could have been a really interesting direction for the film to go in. And the ending itself is quite shocking, but I accept it. It's what was inevitably going to happen. There's a lot of people who are struggling with hope. they put him as this poster child, as this thing to aspire to be. And then as soon as he didn't want to be that thing that they want him to be, and they put him up on the mantle to be, he tried to break free of that, and ultimately he just became something they hated in the end. And I guess in a way you could say Todd Phillips did that so people would hate the Joker. But I think he did that. People wouldn't think this character is someone to aspire to be. And it's like, be careful what you wish for in a lot of ways. I just really loved that aspect of the movie. I thought it was very brave of Todd Phillips to go in this direction, to make a daring sequel that was different from the first film, and to take risks, to risk it all to try and create something original. And I think that he did accomplish that with this film, even though it wasn't perfect. Number 4. Longlegs. Oz Perkins has crafted a wonderful movie with this great horror that is a throwback to suspenseful films like Silence of the Lambs and Seven, and really is a film that really messes with you. The slow pace of it, the characters, what unfolds, the performances by Micah Monroe I think is wonderful, and of course Nicolas Cage, who steals the movie from everybody with his extraordinary creepy doll look type performance that is creepy and disturbing, and every time he's on screen you feel unsettled. And even the shocking thing he does to himself once he's been arrested is just eye-opening. And the concept itself, to begin with, I struggled with it, and then once I let go of that and went with it, it was such a great experience. I like the supernatural aspect to it. I just like the feel of it, the style, the unsettlingness that Oz Perkins created for the whole film is just wonderful to watch. I was blown away by how great this movie was. The marketing was really great, and it became a film that people were talking about even before it came out. And that propelled it into a very fascinating film that became very successful. And I look forward to seeing whatever Oz Perkins does next, because I think he achieves something wonderful in the horror thriller genre. Number 3. Love Lies Bleeding. Rose Glass is a fascinating filmmaker. I love Saint Maud so much. And this was such a great film to follow up from that movie. The performances by the two leads, Kristen Stewart and Kathy O'Brien, are wonderful. Ed Harris is really great in it. There's so many great moments in the movie, and it's just such a sort of visceral film in a lot of ways. It's part love story, it's part violence, it's part horror, and it combines all of these things and reveals them slowly, and there are some powerful scenes in it. Especially with the Kathy O'Brien character. When Kathy O'Brien's character, Jackie, becomes stronger and more musclier, it's like she's turning into the Hulk, and there's this sequence where she gets really big. And at first I was like, I don't like that, but it's the interpretation of it. It's not saying that she's giant, but it's saying she's big, she's strong, she's taking control. She's this towering figure in a lot of ways. And she takes back what is taken from her in the movie. And I really love the relation between Jackie and Lou. It's just kind of beautiful, but tragic and sad. And there's just so many surprising and shocking moments in it. I think Rose Glass is a very exciting new director. I look forward to seeing what she does next. And she delivered a really powerful, wonderful, and original film. Number 2. The Substance. Wow. This was a film I knew nothing about. I saw a quick trailer that they put into the cinemas. There was something really captivating and interesting about what they were doing in that trailer. They didn't give a lot away, and we didn't get a lot of other trailers revealing too much. And I just went in blind, and I was blown away by this. It was extraordinary. It was wonderfully shot. I loved the colors, and the sets were wonderful. The performances by Demi Moore, Dennis Quaid, Margaret Qualley are fantastic to watch. They are brilliant in it. And the director, who I hadn't seen her previous film Revenge, I since have. That movie's amazing in its own. But she has crafted a really original and unique film. And recently I saw Guillermo del Toro interviewing Caroline Farget. She's wonderful. And this interview she did with Del Toro, and she talks about the film and how she wanted something. She was trying to express something in the movie, and horror felt like the right direction to go in, and she just pushed it as far as she could. But he said it felt like a fairy tale, and I never really thought about that before, but it kind of does. You've got this Demi Moore's character, Elizabeth, and she's like this sort of character in this sort of fantasy world where everything's telling her what she should be and what she should look like and what it all means, and she's very alone. And then she goes on this journey and she makes a wish, so to speak, and that transforms her experience into something else. But realizing more and more that that thing is taking over who she is, then she goes to extreme and injects herself again and transforms into something like Del Toro said, I never thought about. This sort of creature-esque thing that is really who she truly is, where she fully accepts who she is in that moment and she feels comfortable in her own skin. To us, it looks disfigured and creepy, but to her, she feels comfortable. There's this mirror scene where she's putting in earrings and putting makeup on. And at first glance, you sort of laugh at this. But after knowing this is her accepting herself, it makes that scene so much more powerful. And then what happens to her later in the movie. There's so many great moments in it. It is just a powerful and mind-blowing movie that's original and unique. And throughout the whole film, I just kept thinking, how far can she push it? How far can she push this film and get away with it? And she kept pushing it, and it got to a point where it's just like she couldn't push it anymore, and it was absolutely exquisite. It was wonderful that she got to that place and she just kept going. The ending is something to behold that is shocking and funny and crazy and just absolutely amazing to watch. She is the most exciting, like Rose Glass, a very exciting director who's making some really interesting and engaging movies. And I just got swept up on into this film and absolutely loved it. Okay, number one. My favorite film of 2024 is Maxine. I love this movie so much. I'm a huge fan of Mia Goth. I think she's a wonderful, daring, creative and original actress, and she's fantastic in this movie. Yes, it is the third film that's become the sort of Maxine trilogy or the X trilogy or whatever you want to call it. In each incarnation of the Maxine character or in the Maxine world, she's very different in each of them. I love it's a throwback to 80s slasher films that feels a lot like a Brian De Palma film. It's shocking and surprising. You know, Ty West really captured the 80s in such a wonderful way, from the look of the streets to the soundtrack to characters' clothing, the way they interact in the world, and having this sort of killer in the background, and how the events of what happened to her in X start to impact her in this world. Mia Goth, she's wonderful in it. The way she understands this character and crafts it and makes it, her choices within the film playing this character, and how cool and tough and badass she is. And it's completely different to how Mia Goth is in real life. She's very sweet and nice and kind of an innocent to her. But when she plays a character like this, you take notice because she really brings it to life. And she's so powerful. She's a very driven character. And I like that she wants to accomplish something. She's going to be a star no matter the consequences. No matter what happens to her, she's going to accomplish that. This film sort of has her go on a detour, but she still is able to work towards what she wants to do. And it's such a powerful film in that regard. But her performance is what really magnifies this into an extraordinary film. Anyway, that's it. That's my top 10 for 2024. I think next year is going to be quite interesting. During a year for cinema. Anyway, that's all from me today. Thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed this video. And if you did, please subscribe down the bottom, follow me on Facebook and Letterboxd. Otherwise, until next time, enjoy the movies.